Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Ti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Visesa Sanivari Paschatya Satani. From my experience, we in our movement have not put enough stress on how important it is to chant and the process of chanting properly. We need to stress those two things more, because sometimes we think chanting is just like any other service or any other part of sadhana. And actually, that's not true. Chanting is the essence, most important. And what I have seen over the years is that when a devotee is doing his best or her best to chant without offense, then their spiritual life becomes very strong. And when a devotee doesn't do that, either their spiritual life is not as strong or it becomes weak. And this is my personal experience. What we see in life in general is that we give our energy to what we think is most important. If there are 5 things we have to do, we will tend to do the ones that are most important the best, give them the most attention. Or if we have 5 relationships, we'll give the most attention to the most important. And so what we find is that often devotees don't understand how important japa is, and therefore they don't give it the attention it deserves. And what's interesting and unfortunate is that we don't always give the attention that japa deserves while we're chanting. So I may be chanting, but it doesn't mean I'm giving attention to it. It doesn't mean I'm giving priority to it. In fact, often when we're chanting, we may be giving priority to something else that we're concerned about or thinking about. And we've all experienced that. I'm chanting, but in my mind, something else is more important. I'm worrying about something in my mind, which is more important. I think it helps us if we can compare chanting to deity worship. And why can we compare it to deity worship? Because the deity is Krishna in the form of earth or metal or stone or wood. And the holy name is the form of Krishna, is Krishna in the form of sound. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence. Sound is a material element, just as is wood, just as is earth. Well, marble, stone, wood, it's all considered earth. Just picture this. You're chanting the name of Krishna, and that name is actually a deity. And with every word, you're worshiping the deity. Imagine chanting like that. It's just Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The deity is coming in front of you in the form of sound. Now hold that thought for a minute. The name Krishna is the deity of Krishna in sound. Now, any of you who do deity worship or even do deity backup service in preparing anything for the deities, if you're not allowed to go on the altar or in the kitchen, but those of you who worship deities or have deities at home know that when you're worshiping the deities, you're not thinking about anything else. And why are you not thinking about anything else? Because you know Krishna is there in the deity, and it would be wrong to think about anything else. I think that's obvious to all of us. And I think when we go on the altar, we know this is Krishna. We may not realize it fully, but we know this is Krishna. And we take achman to purify ourselves. We chant mantras to purify ourselves. We go on the altar, we pay obeisances. And then we engage in our puja. And we don't have our phone on. We're not thinking about what we're going to do in an hour. What are we thinking about? Our puja. That's pretty normal. You agree? Da? That's normal. All right. So now let's go back to the idea that the holy name is Krishna. It's a deity of Krishna in sound. If it's a deity of Krishna in sound, then some preparation should be there when I'm going to worship that deity before I begin worship, right? Some prayer, some acknowledgement, this is Krishna. And then when I begin chanting, if it is a deity, there would be full attention to that name because Krishna is there with me, present. Does that make sense? Now, how many of you chant that way? Raise your hand. All right, we've got unanimous agreement that we don't chant like that. We have a unanimous problem. Now, it's not your fault because most of us, when we are taught to chant, we are not taught this. We're just taught this is how to use the beads and this is the mantra and just say it and hear it. That's basically all we're taught. If when you chant, you prepare for it internally as you would prepare for the deities. Sometimes you can take achman or wash your hands, offer some prayers, the Panchatattva Mahamantra, other prayers if you like, pray to your spiritual master, the Goswamis, that now, and be aware that now I'm connecting with Krishna. And then you try your best during that time when you're chanting to completely be present to the holy name, nothing else. Nothing else should be in the space of your heart other than the Maha Mantra when you're chanting. If you bring in something else in that space, it compromises the quality of the holy name. It compromises the quality of your chanting. So if Krishna is present in his name, we should give attention to his name. If we're going to give attention, we cannot give attention to other things. Just like if I come to your temple and one of you say, I would like to speak to you, would that be okay? And I say, okay, we can speak. And you start speaking to me and I'm looking around the temple and I'm looking at other devotees and I'm saying hello to other devotees. You will feel, either you'll feel ignored, maybe your self-esteem starts going down because I'm ignoring you, or you might even feel offended. I think that would be natural, wouldn't it? If someone ignores you, you would feel offended. So Krishna is present in his name, and if we're not present, then we're offending Krishna in a sense through ignoring. Now, whatever you have to do that you're thinking about, you don't have to do it while you're chanting. Whatever you're worried about, Krishna can take care of it anyway better than you. And a lot of times, if you're just Krishna conscious, he takes care of it. You don't even have to do anything. So somehow or other, if you can put your mind in a place where when you chant, you are able not to have to think about anything and therefore be fully present, be fully give your attention to Krishna, then you're in an ideal position to chant in a way that you can get the most from chanting. So that's my introduction. This is foundational. We have to clear space out, and then you might be busy. There may be so many things going on, but while you're chanting, you have to clear that space out for Krishna and your attention for Krishna. That's required. First, most important, required. Anything else I teach you, if you try to do it, but you don't do this first, it's going to be difficult or impossible. So this is the first thing. And again, if we compare it to deity worship, it will make total sense because we always give attention to the deities. We always give attention because we've been told over and over again, this is Krishna. He's in this deity. Treat him exactly as you would if Krishna was personally present. So we're very, very focused. Why don't we think that way with the holy name? That's an interesting question, isn't it? Why do we think Krishna's in the deity and we bow down, but we don't bow down to the holy name? In fact, Prabhupada said we should bow down to the holy name because Krishna is present in the holy name. So now, what is in the holy name? How will you realize what's in the holy name? You read about the holy name. So many amazing things are said about the holy name in our scriptures. And I bet all of you have read those amazing things and thought, well, that sounds amazing, but I haven't really experienced that, or not much of that, or maybe none of that. And then you may question, is that really there in the holy name? Or is that only in the holy name chanted by Mahaprabhu? Is that only in the holy name chanted by Bhaktivinoda Thakur? Is that available to me? Can that be in the holy name that I chant? So what I have experience of, and this is very clear experience, is that the holy name, as with your relationship with Krishna, is subjective. It depends on what you give to that relationship. It depends on your advancement. It depends on your level of purity. So the same holy name can be experienced much differently by one who's chanting properly as opposed to one who's not chanting properly. So I think you all realize there's something much deeper in the holy name than you're accessing presently. And maybe Krishna has given you a little experience of that sometimes. But no matter what experience you have, I'm sure you realize that there's much more to it. And we can go much deeper. And we all want to go much deeper. To experience Krishna consciousness in a deeper way, to experience a stronger connection, and to experience a stronger taste. So the question to be asked is why? If the holy name, if the scriptures say, the holy name is so sweet that I wish I had 1,000 tongues to chant with, was one tongue, tasting with one tongue is not enough. Those gulab jamans were so sweet, I wish I had 1,000 tongues. I could eat 1,000 gulab jamans at one time. Something like that. You ever felt that way when you eat some nice prasadam? I wish I had 10 stomachs. I could eat 10 times more. I know I feel like that sometimes. I'm eating something, it's delicious. And then I get full and I think I can't eat anymore, but I want to eat more. Oh, I wish I had 10 or 1,000 stomachs, 1,000 tongues. So Rupa Goswami says, I wish I had 1,000 tongues. It's so sweet. And we're reading this and he's saying, it's so sweet. And we're thinking, I've never tasted the sweetness he's tasting. Is that the same Maha Mantra? It's the same Maha Mantra, but it's not chanted by the same person in the same way. So the experience is different, right? You remember the story of Mahaprabhu going to Puri? And when he saw Lord Jagannath, he fainted. It's because he saw Shyam Sundar. And in the separation of Radharani, he fainted. Have you seen Jagannath before? Yeah. How many? Raise your hand if you fainted when you saw him. I mean, you completely faint. You fell on the ground, unconscious, out of ecstasy. Anybody? If you raise your hand, we have to kick you out of the temple because you're a sahajiya. So that's the Jagannath, the same Jagannath that we're seeing. Mahaprabhu sees and he faints. Prabhupada sees the deity and he's talking to the deity and the deity's talking to him. It's the same deity. Prabhupada is sometimes giving class, describing a Leela and chokes up and starts crying. Same Leela we read, different experience. So we want to be able to go deeper in these experiences. And there is a technique or a scientific way to do that with a holy name. And if we do that, then the power of the holy name is going to be much stronger. And I want to give an example. So please pay attention because this is very important. We all have experienced really good days chanting and we become very inspired. Da ilinyat. Good day, Harasho Japa. And some days, not Harasho na. Bad Japa, some days, right? When Japa is bad, we don't feel inspired. When Japa is good, we feel very inspired. Like some kind of magic is happening in our hearts. So it's important for us to be able to chant in a way that we have deeper experiences, deeper connection, because that will vitalize our spiritual life. So let me give you an example of why this happens. Your country is very cold. Should be very cold now, right? Still cold. It's not cold here, but it should be cold. Yeah? There's a fire outside burning. Is that true? I see smoke. So there's a fire outside, right? The closer you are to the fire, the warmer you will be. The further away you are from the fire, the cooler you will be. What's the temperature now outside? Can somebody tell me? Or put it in the chat. What's the temperature? Like 0, below 0?
-20.
-20 centigrade. That's very cold. If you build a fire outside, even though it's -20, can you stay warm if you go right next to the fire? Like a big fire and you go very close, can you stay warm? You at least stay warm enough to stay outside all day, I think. Yes? Yeah, okay. Now, if you go further away from the fire, it won't be -20. Maybe it'll be -10 or -5, or maybe it'll be 0. And as you go further away from the fire, the weather will become colder. And if you go far enough away from the fire, then it's going to be minus 20. The fire is the pure holy name. So pure chanting of the holy name is like being next to the fire. As you remove yourself from the fire, that's called namabas. And as you remove yourself further from the fire, it's called namaparad. So in namaparad, there's no heat. In namabas, you feel a little bit of heat, and as you get closer, you feel more heat. But not enough heat to keep you warm through the night. It's not enough. But when you get close to the fire, you could stay all night by that fire and not freeze. That's called Shuddhanam, or pure chanting, right? So that holy name that you chant every morning for 2 hours, it could be in the fire, a little distance from the fire, or so far from the fire that you don't warm up. And I think all of you have experience of this. Some days very good, some days not. Now, I think it's obvious that if we are going to spend 2 hours every day chanting, we would want to be as close to the fire as possible. So in this analogy, being close to the fire means the holy name is manifesting more fully, more brightly. And if the holy name manifests more brightly, what happens? We become more purified. If the holy name is dim, our hearts are already dim. So if you take a dim light into a dark place, it doesn't light it much. If you take a bright light into a dark place, it lights it up. So there's basically two things that are causing this problem of not getting close enough to the light. Two things. One is offenses to the holy name. So the more we are careful to avoid offenses, the more the holy name manifests. And the other one is the mood in which we chant. Now, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, the mood in which we chant is the mood of a pure devotee who prays, Krishna, please give me, I want to serve you purely. I don't want to be the enjoyer or controller. I want to be the servant. And please purify me, purify my heart so I can purely serve you. That mood is the essential mood of chanting. And when we avoid the offenses, then we're present to the holy name. We're not distracted. We're not offending devotees. We're not misunderstanding Krishna consciousness. When we do that, the holy name begins to open up more and more, and we start to realize there's much more in the holy name than I thought. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, Krishna will manifest in his name, not just by mechanical chanting, not just because there's a sound. So that is not Krishna. Krishna manifests when your heart is in the mood of, I am your servant and I'm praying for pure devotional service. Just like Krishna manifests in the deity when you call Krishna to come, Krishna manifests in the holy name when we are in the mood of, Krishna, I want to serve you. Now, we tend to think Krishna is always there in his name, even in offensive chanting. But that's not true, because in offensive chanting, there's no advancement. And so why is there no advancement? Because only the material sound of Krishna is there. Just like if somebody sees a deity with a material consciousness, Krishna, although he's in the deity, is not in the deity for that person. And there are many verses about this, right? That he's if your heart is like wood or stone, you will see the deity like wood or stone. You know those verses? If you have a stone heart, you're going to see the deity as stone. If you have a soft butter-like heart, then you will see Krishna in the deity. So Krishna is always in the deity. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, Krishna is always in his name, but if we commit offenses, we are not able to access Krishna in his name. So again, he said, when you approach the holy name as a servant, you've probably heard Prabhupada say, we are servants of the holy name. We are not masters of the holy name. That means we're not chanting in the mood of enjoyer. Like maybe when you were first coming to Krishna consciousness, you went to kirtan in the mood of the enjoyer. I'm going to enjoy this kirtan. Let's go to the Hare Krishna temple. We'll dance around and we will enjoy. At least I know I thought like that. As you become purified, you realize I'm not chanting to enjoy chanting. I'm chanting to give Krishna pleasure. That's the pure chanting. I'm chanting to give Krishna pleasure. I'm chanting to pray for pure devotional service. Now, we have all heard Prabhupada say we should chant like a child crying for his mother. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said we should cry at the feet of the holy name when we chant, and in a few days we will come to pure chanting. Well, that was a few hundred years ago. It takes a little longer now, but the principle is crying. And what am I crying for? I'm crying for pure devotional service. Sometimes we cry because we don't like to chant. That's why we're crying. Oh, I hate to chant. Hare Krishna. No, I don't like it. I don't like it. So we don't want to cry for the wrong reason. When will my rounds be done? I don't like this. That's why I'm crying. So that name, that's not the holy name. That's not the real name. The real name is when you are crying for pure devotional service, when you've cleared out that space and you're opening your heart to Krishna saying, please, please, I just want to be a pure devotee. The more you pray like that, the closer you're coming to pure chanting, Shuddhanam, because pure chanting means chanting with a pure desire, chanting with a desire only to please Krishna. And you might say, I'm not that advanced. If you're not that advanced, you chant praying for that desire. If you're more advanced, you chant praying with that desire. Krishna, please give me the desire to chant purely. Please help me become pure. Or if I'm more pure, Krishna, I'm chanting to please you. I'm chanting to love you. Please help me love you. Please give me pure devotional service. I just want to please you. That is what real chanting is. Just chanting to get your rounds done, that's not what we're supposed to be doing. And a nice meditation, in addition to Krishna being the deity of the name, is to always remember when you're chanting, the goal is not to finish your rounds. The goal is to chant Shuddhanam. The goal is to avoid offenses. The goal is to chant purely. The goal is to make that space in that 2 hours where I can just pray to Krishna for pure devotional service, where I can give my heart to Krishna. Now, I want to demonstrate one thing, and then we'll have some discussion. We can take some questions, and then if we have more time, I can talk a little more. I'm going to do something now. I have to change so I can see myself. Okay, so I'm going to go like this, this. So can you do that? No, you go. First, we'll go like this, up in the ear, to the heart, to the lips. Okay, so this is how the holy name comes. It comes from the spiritual world, from the pure devotee, into our ear. We hear it from Prabhupada or his representative. It is supposed to go to the heart next. Oh, Krishna, please engage me in pure devotional service. And that heart is supposed to move the tongue. Right now, here's the problem. Sometimes it goes like this. You don't have to imitate this, but sometimes it goes from the spiritual world to the ear, to the mouth, and it bypasses the heart. And that's what Prabhupada called mechanical chanting. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta said, you can't capture the holy name just with the syllables. Interesting. Then he said, without the heart, it's just a material sound. He called it a mayic sound. And then he said, chanting is not lip deep, it's heart deep. So the heart is praying. The heart is where we're praying. Oh, Krishna, please, Krishna, help. Or now maybe you've been in touch with some of the devotees in Ukraine. I've been in touch with them, and they say that their chanting and sadhana is better than ever because it's a dangerous situation. And one devotee, I said, why is your chanting better? He said, because I don't know if I'm going to be alive tomorrow. So it's causing him to pray intensely. And so japa is a prayer, and the more intense our prayer, the more connected we are. So when it comes from the heart, that's the real holy name. When it just comes from the lips and not from the heart, that's what we would call mechanical. Many of us were not taught this, but if you study carefully the theology of the holy name, this is the conclusion. You may remember this lecture. There's a lecture where Prabhupada said, he said, Krishna just wants your love. Your body is of no value to him. Everything you own is no value to him. What can you offer him? But you bring something to Krishna and you say, Krishna, I am worthless. My things are worthless. But I've brought this to you. You please accept. And that's the same way we present ourselves when we're chanting, because we're offering our heart to Krishna. And say, well, I don't even love you. All I have is this desire to be a pure devotee. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I'm bringing that. I'm praying to you for that kind of strength. That's real chanting. And if we just carefully can remember what is real chanting and what is not, what is mechanical, and remember that mechanical chanting, we can chant 100 rounds mechanically, and it's not going to have as much effect as one round chanted from the heart. I'm not saying that not to chant your 16 rounds, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said something very shocking. So I'm going to shock you. Am I allowed to shock you? Is that okay? Just once? Okay, I'll shock you once. He said, if we're chanting the holy name and committing offenses, even chanting 100 rounds a day, we won't make progress. Because it's like taking 100 placebos. Understand placebo? It's a capsule that has no medicine, but they put something so you think it's medicine and you take it, right? So you take 100 placebos. That's not going to help you. But if you take one pill of the medicine, that will help you. So he was saying that when you chant and commit offense, it's like 100 rounds of placebo. Are you chanting placebo japa? That's the question. Or are you chanting the real holy name? So I have a story for you. This is the second wave of the shock. Okay. Are you shocked? Are you shaking now? I'll shake you a little more. There were some devotees, and they were only following two principles: no meat eating and no gambling, and they weren't following the other two. And they formed a community. So they were chanting. I don't know if they were chanting 16 rounds, but they were chanting, doing kirtan, chanting some japa, but only two principles. And so that came to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, but they made a vow to follow four principles. So that chanting is namaparad because they're disobeying the guru, disobeying the guru. So they said, but at least we're chanting. And Prabhupada said, that chanting will take you 300 lifetimes before it's effective. So what did Prabhupada mean? You're chanting, you're disobeying the order of the guru, you're committing offense. So when you commit offense, you're at such a far distance from the heat that you don't feel anything. It's practically doing nothing. So this is very important to understand. Our goal is not just to chant 16 rounds. Our goal is to chant purely, to beg Krishna for pure devotional service and to give Krishna the honor of our attention and energy when we chant. And if you practice doing this, you'll see a huge difference in your japa, and a huge difference in your spiritual life. So why don't I stop there? That was about 50 minutes or so. And I can say a lot more, but I just wanted to make these 2 points for now. And then if you have any questions, you can ask them. Or I think some people are on Facebook and they can ask questions there. Is that correct? And then those in the temple, if you have questions, you can ask and we can get them. We can have the audio on and have it translated.
Krishna, большая благодарность за эту лекцию.
Thank you so much for this class.
Вот такой вопрос. У меня был дефект речи.
I have a defect of speech. And by the grace of Mahamandra, this sound I couldn't pronounce before, I get it now. I have it.
Okay.
Сейчас из-за того, что речевой аппарат не привык эти звуки произносить, я медленно повторяю, он быстрее думает.
But I'm not used to speaking this way, and I speak more slow than my mind.
Получается, что 16 кругов, чтобы все проговорить, качественно, уходит около 3 часов.
And I need about 3 hours to speak, to pronounce this amount of mantra.
Время, которое выделяется на то, чтобы воспевать 16 кругов, утренний блок, это всего 2 часа.
But the morning block is only 2 hours long, given for Japa.
У меня основная медитация, чтобы побыстрее повторять, чтобы в эти 2 часа уложиться, потому что остальное время, оно как бы занято другим служением, и получается, я вот эти круги я дочитываю, где придется, как придется на веку.
And main meditation is to finish my rounds, to feel in this time, and I have a lot of seva. And what is left, I just rush.
Что бы вы могли посоветовать в этой ситуации?
What could you advise in this situation?
Well, I can tell you a story. One devotee in San Francisco in 1970 had this problem. Similar problem. But it took him about 12 hours to finish his rounds. Because he had taken a little too much LSD before he became a devotee. So his mind wasn't working so well. And they asked Prabhupada, can we let him, what do we do? And Prabhupada said, let him chant his rounds. And then he after he finishes, if there's any time left, he can do service. So your case is special. So maybe some special consideration can be made for you. Because just chanting to get them done is really bad. It's like you're with Krishna and you're trying to not be with Krishna. Okay, Krishna, it's time to go. Just leave. I don't have time for you. It's not the right mood. So you'll have to work it out. Just work it out in a way that you don't have to feel that way when you're chanting. Is that possible? You can see. Yeah. We have a question in chat. Wow. There's a question. Is thinking of texts of the Bhagavatam while chanting an offense? I wouldn't go so far to say it's an offense. It's just the idea of chanting is everything I said. So if everything I said produces that mood where you're absorbed in thinking of Bhagavatam, Leela, but if you're thinking of philosophy, that's not really, it tends to be more of a distraction in my experience. Because I like to think of philosophy and I can drift off in my japa and think of philosophy. And my personal experience is that I'm getting further away from the name the more I do that. So if you're thinking of Leela, that's a little different. But the idea is that you are present to the holy name. You're begging the holy name for pure bhakti. That's the fundamental mood of chanting. If you read the prayers of the acharyas as to what the holy name means, everything that they write is all about praying to the holy name for something, to get closer to Krishna. And we sometimes hear that when the pure devotee chants, they see the leelas and or they enter the leela. Because Krishna is his leela. So they're not distracted from the name by thinking of the leela because they're seeing Krishna in his name non-different. So if Krishna is non-different than his name, and you realize that, then the leela is there also. You reminded me of one thing that I think is important. Often devotees say, well, how do I know my rounds are good? Well, one of the symptoms that Prabhupada gives is that as you progress in bhakti, your senses become purified, so you become more attracted to chanting. If you like it, you have more of a taste. When you finish your 16, you don't think, oh, great, I don't have to chant anymore. You think, oh, I wish I had more time to chant. And it's sweet. So part of the answer to your question would to be evaluate whenever you have a question, is this a good way to chant? Then say, well, are you coming closer to the holy name? Is it sweeter? Or are you just distracting yourself from the holy name? How you feel at the end of your 16 rounds is a very good indicator of the quality of your japa. So sometimes these questions can be answered just by that experience. But again, Prabhupada has stated the symptom of advancement is attraction to chanting. So if I'm not attracted to chanting, that should be a red flag, a warning. Something's wrong. And it could be that something is wrong with my service or my sadhana, and it's affecting my chanting. That's possible. I would say, what Mahaprabhu said? He said, chant Hare Krishna and respect the devotees. These are the two most important things. Because if I don't respect the devotees, I can't chant purely because I will offend them. So we've heard that we shouldn't offend devotees, we shouldn't criticize. If we do, then the name we're chanting is an offensive name. It's not pure. Something to think about. So I know devotees who have difficult time chanting, and they're making a lot of offenses all the time. They're very critical. And, I think that's the reason that their chanting isn't good. It's one thing to be critical with a good heart, a heart to help. But if one is always focused on what devotees are doing wrong, and then you end up not chanting good rounds or not chanting all your rounds, generally you can see the correlation between the two. In other words, if you're chanting good rounds, you should be fairly inspired and fairly detached and fairly enlivened. You shouldn't be like overwhelmed with problems. And if you are experiencing a lack of inspiration or depth or realization, it could be because your chanting is not being done well. That's possible. Or maybe more than possible, it's probable. The holy name works. That's the point. It works. It's powerful. It's the nuclear bomb for Maya. The holy name contains prema in it. The holy name is a medicine that's so powerful, it has the potential to awaken a prema. So if it has the potential to awaken prema, it helping us purify our anarthas is pretty minimal, right? Like you say you get in a sports car, you can go from 0 to 100 kilometers in 3 seconds. That's pretty fast. So if it goes, 0 to 100 in 3 seconds, then you can go 0 to 30 in 1 second. So if this name is going to give you prema, certainly it can rid you of anarthas quite easily. And if you're battling with these anarthas year after year after year, it's probably something is going wrong with your chanting, and your lifestyle may be affecting that because they work together. So it's something to consider. If you have a tendency to be very critical, it might be a result that your chanting is not pure. So that affects your chanting. And then if your chanting is not pure, it's hard to overcome the tendency to criticize. So you see what I'm saying? Like your lifestyle is affecting your japa. And if your japa, if it's negatively affecting your japa, then your chanting is at a further distance from the fire. It's not so powerful, and it's not helping you overcome the anarthas. So when we understand this, we can be more careful in our lifestyle, in how we deal with devotees, and when we're in the holy dham, to be careful not to offend the dham, careful not to offend the deities, careful not to offend senior devotees, like that, because that all affects our chanting. And so if you're chanting every day and you really don't like it, and it's really, really hard and really, really boring, and you're really, really distracted, you're not actually chanting the full name. You're chanting at a pretty far distance from the sun. That's why you're experiencing it. And so I would recommend then making more effort, being more conscious to avoid offenses, making more effort to be present to Krishna and to pray to the holy name, and even pray to be able to chant properly, pray for a taste, all these things. Does that make sense to everyone? Was that too heavy or what? Am I a fanatic? I'm a Japa fanatic, actually. It's true. These are realizations that I've had, which I have corroborated with Prabhupada's books and the books of Bhakti Siddhanta and Bhakti Vinod Thakur. My realizations and things they said. So I don't say things to you that I can't back up with Shastra. Yeah. Okay, we have a question from the audience. Yes. Okay.
Харе Кришна, мои поклоны. Скажите, пожалуйста, можно ли гулять по лесу и при этом чисто внимательно воспевать святое имя Господа? Или обязательно, допустим, вот 16 кругов Махамантры нужно в определенных условиях воспевать, ну, то есть сидя там, глядя на божество, на духовного учителя, на Прабхупаду, а уже во время прогулки, скажем, только дополнительные круги воспевать. Вот такой вопрос.
Dear Mahatma Prabhu, please accept my obeisances. Thank you so much for the class. The question is it necessary to have a certain circumstances and surroundings to chant nice japa? For example, is it possible to be attentive during japa when you walk around in the forest, or you need to sit before the deities, etc., and be concentrated, sit strictly for your 16 rounds and chant only additional rounds in the forest?
Yes and no. Da and yet. You are probably the best person to answer that question. For me, the most concentrated is sitting. For me. But some people can't sit. They have to walk. And so for some people, walking helps them. And certainly the forest is a good place to walk. So if you feel that helps you, that's fine. Mahaprabhu said there's no hard and fast rule. That means you can chant standing or sitting or walking, morning, noon, evening, like that. So this is a personal thing. What actually helps you the most? So I could say the best thing is to sit, and then you might sit and fall asleep. Or you might be very young and energetic and very vata, and it's like you're always moving around. It's like, I need to move when I chant. Because if my body doesn't move, my mind will just move. So that will depend on you. What you feel will be most helpful. Sometimes we say chanting in front of Tulsi is very powerful. Chanting with the devotees is powerful, but sometimes devotees say that I can't chant with devotees; they chant too loud. I don't hear myself; I hear them. So some devotees like chanting with other devotees; it helps them, supports them. Some find it distracting. We're all individual. So what works for you works for you. What I have seen is that as devotees progress in their japa, they tend to chant more sitting. That's just what I've seen. Like after we do japa retreats, when devotees go home, they'll tend to sit more when they chant than walk, because it's easier to just, there's nothing. As your body moves, your mind tends to move a bit with your body. So when your body's not moving, your mind tends to be calm. But it doesn't mean you can't chant purely walking. We do Prikrama of Govardhan and Prikrama of Vrindavan. You can do Prikrama of Mayapur. That's amazing, in the Holy Dome. So I'm going to Vrindavan soon, and I might do Prikrama every day because, that's so special. So, okay, we have another question. Yes?
Спасибо большое, Махапрабху, столица. А что если он вообще сумасшедший? Просто он летит все время, что-то решает, планирует. Всегда практически очень редко удается справляться с ним. Что делать?
Dear Mahatma Prabhu, thank you so much for the class. What to do if my mind is just crazy? It is very seldom moments when it is specified, and it is usually always planning, doing something, traveling everywhere.
Yes, that's fine.
Like what to do.
Yeah, that's fine. Just don't do it during japa. Japa is not allowed. Just like you wouldn't do it. Your mind's crazy going everywhere. But if your guru comes and you sit and talk to him, you'll be very focused because it would be disrespectful not to be, right? So what I would like all of you to understand is that it's natural for the mind to be thinking. But that thinking will ruin your japa. It's not meant for japa. That's meant for seva. You when you chant japa, you don't need your mind. You need your heart because you're praying. And you won't be able to pray if your mind is going everywhere. So what I would suggest to you before you begin chanting japa, just kind of calm down and internally, just like you would do if you go on the altar. Maybe you're not initiated, haven't gone on the altar. But before you go on the altar, you would say prayers, you would do achman, purify yourself. Try to do something before you begin japa similar, offering prayers to Prabhupada, prayers to the holy name, so you can calm yourself. And then remind yourself that while I'm chanting japa, this is a time where I don't use my mind, I use my heart. My mind, I just turn it off. I don't need it now. In 2 hours when I finish, I'll turn my mind back on. And try to make that normal for you, that when you chant japa, just like immediately, you program yourself, turn everything off. Just like, let's say you are learning something and you really have to concentrate on it. Let's say it's an instrument and you're learning. Naturally, when it's time to practice, you know, if I'm going to practice, I can't be thinking of anything else. So you finish, you answer all your messages and whatever you have to do, you just put it on hold. You make sure, okay, everything can wait, and I'm going to practice my instrument. It's the same thing with japa, everything on hold. And I know you can do it. And don't tell yourself you can't do it, because if you tell yourself you can't do it, you won't be able to do it. But always tell yourself, when I chant, I chant. When I chant, I chant. I don't do other things when I chant. Just keep reminding yourself. Japa means when I chant, I chant. That's what it is. And if you can convince yourself that it's not japa when I'm planning everything, I'm planning the next Rath Yatra in July, Hare Krishna, we'll do this, we'll do that. That's not japa. That's planning Rath Yatra. They're two different things. Plan Rath Yatra when you're not chanting japa. When you're chanting japa, chant japa. If you can get that in your head, this is what japa is, and then get it in your heart so it sticks, then you'll be able to do it. Does that make sense? Or you have another question? Okay.
А еще, когда вот выступаешь, бывает, что ты наблюдаешь за умом и еще молишь, вот то, что говорится, мольба. То есть ты молишь, пожалуйста, дай искренность уже. То есть мы же должны слушать, а как я в это время одновременно прошу, дай там какое-то служение.
I'm supposed to listen when I'm chanting my japa, but I also pray and ask, give me the purity, give me the pure name. How is it possible to listen and to ask at the same time?
You ever pray to the deity? Da? You prayed? Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you see the deity when you pray? You see the deity? Do you hear your prayers when you pray? So I asked you the question, how is it possible to see the deity, hear your prayers, and prayer at the same time? It's possible because it's all one thing. It's not three things. So hearing and praying are not two different things. It's one thing. Who are you praying to? You're praying to the holy name. How can you pray to the holy name if you don't hear it, if you're not present to it? Don't make it two different things. It's one thing. Does that make sense to you? Hare Krishna. I'm praying to the holy name for pure devotional service. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I'm hearing the holy name. Krishna is present in his name. I'm praying with the holy name, to the holy name, for the holy name. It's one process. What you asked that question because you are seeing japa more as something mechanical. I'm chanting and I'm hearing. That's a process. It's not a process, it's a relationship. Don't think of japa as a process. You sit straight at 5:30 in the morning, you face a picture of Prabhupada, you pronounce it this way. That's a process. That is secondary. Primary is it's a relationship, you and Krishna. When you understand japa as a relationship, then you won't have questions like this. When you think it's a process, then you have questions like this. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. Okay, we have another question.
Скажите, пожалуйста, что вы можете сказать о воспевании святого имени вместе с голосом Прабхупады?
Hare Krishna. What can you say about chanting together with the voice of Srila Prabhupada?
I can say it's amazing.
Потрясающе.
It's amazing. Because if you listen to Prabhupada chant, you will hear everything I just explained to you in the last hour in his chanting. So when a pure devotee chants, that purifies us. And if that inspires you, then do it. Some people like to chant in a quiet place. But you know what I suggest you can do? There's a tape of Prabhupada, the recording of Prabhupada. It's very slow. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Just listen to it for a minute. Just listen to it and enter into what is going on in Prabhupada's heart. And then everything I said will come alive. You will hear everything I said in Prabhupada's chanting. You had another question?
Да, я бы хотела спросить, вы почти ответили, то есть выстраиваться уже на слушании его голоса, а вы говорили, что ухо, сердце, голос, то есть или на свой голос, или на голос Прабхупады.
Should I make an accent on my voice or on the voice of Prabhupada?
Similar? Should you chant? If you can, it's nice.
Если можете, то хорошо одновременно.
Yeah, it may be difficult for some people. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. But in Russia, you tend to say Hare Krishna. So, it may be difficult. I don't know. Right? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. It's actually Krishna. But if if you're putting all your energy to say Hare Krishna, and that's not good, because you want to put all your energy into praying. And when you say Hare Krishna, Krishna knows what you're chanting. He knows you're calling his name. So the exact pronunciation is not the most important. Your heart is the most important. Because one time there was a man who told Prabhupada, your disciples are not pronouncing the Maha Mantra properly. And Prabhupada said, I know, because we're Americans, we don't say it properly. Prabhupada said, I know. He said, but Krishna knows who they're calling. Krishna knows they're calling him, even if they're not pronouncing it. Right? So it's the heart. And so you can pronounce it properly with no heart. That's called mechanical chanting. I'll just pronounce it properly, and then that's good. You could still be distracted. Does that make sense? See, da, pravda, harasho. Okay.
Харе Кришна, вопрос из эфира нашей трансляции. Лила Мани Девидаси спрашивает, если у меня оскорбительное отношение к преданным, нужно ли мне ограничить общение с ними на какое-то время и постараться сосредоточиться на святом имени?
A question from broadcast. If my chanting is offensive to devotees, my approach to devotees is offensive, should I restrict association with devotees and concentrate on Japa more?
No, you should learn how to associate with devotees. You should learn better how to associate. Because we need association. You can pray to the holy name to help you. But association is foundational to your Krishna consciousness. I mean, if you feel that sometimes you will offend devotees, it's better to be a little distance. But the problem is, we need association. That's the danger of association, that we have the opportunity to offend. So if I don't have the association, then I can't offend them. If I don't have the association, I may not be a devotee anymore. So it's better to learn how to associate properly. And maybe you're not offending and you just think you are. That's another possibility also. Because offending devotee means you have to have a malicious heart. It's not like you make some joke about a devotee and say, oh, did you see her sari? You see the colors? It was really ugly, and you're just making fun. That's not considered an offense per se. Because you're just having fun and you know the devotee. But it's when your heart is vicious and you want to hurt somebody, that's an offense. Or you're doing things that are hurting devotees. That's an offense. So you may not be making offense, you just may be thinking you are. What do you think? Anyway, you can think about it.
Можно об этом подумать еще.
Харе Кришна, а как понять, что джапа — это отношение, а не механический процесс?
Hare Krishna. How is it possible to understand that Japa is relations but not mechanical process?
Because Krishna is present in his name. And you are present when you're chanting. So there's you and Krishna. And that's a relationship. If you if you marry a man and he says, I love you, and he doesn't, but he says it because he's supposed to, how will you feel? You'll feel like this is not a relationship. I'm married to a robot. Right? So we don't want to, it's not that we don't follow proper practices for chanting, but we don't want to do them separated from understanding that chanting is a connection with Krishna. That's what it's doing. When I meditate in the traditional sense, I'm focusing on a candle and meditating to focus my mind. I have no relationship with that candle, and the candle has no relationship with me. We're not going to get married. We're not going to fall in love. But in Japa, you are eternally related to Krishna. You have eternal relationship. So you're just awakening, the Japa is awakening the relationship. But because you're chanting, even though the relationship isn't fully awakened, because you're chanting, the relationship exists between you and the holy name. So why don't you, when you chant tomorrow morning, why don't you meditate on this is a relationship. I'm present, Krishna's present, Radha's present. We're connecting through sound, and see how that affects you. It's really sweet if you can do that. Can you do it? You think you can try? Da? Harisho. So we have like 3 minutes left, I think.
Полное примите, пожалуйста, и благодарность за ваше общение. Вот такой вопрос мне буквально недавно начинающая преданная задала, как бы вы на него ответили. Она понимает, что, не то, что понимает, она знает теоретически, в лекциях слышала, что воспевание святого имени – это юга-дхарма, главная деятельность в Кали-югу. Ну, как бы, может быть, она глубже хочет разобраться, почему Кришне именно воспевание святого имени нравится. Она, например, у нее есть служение делать гирлянды для божеств. Она говорит, мне это служение нравится, Кришне же тоже нравится это служение, когда преподносятся гирлянды. Может быть, я могу просто служением этим заниматься и не воспевать, почему вот именно Кришне повторение святого имени удовлетворяет его душу.
Hare Krishna, Mahatma Prabhu, thank you so much for your association and the class. I have a question from a beginner devotee, lady. She inquires why especially chanting Japa and holy name is important as Yuga Dharma. For example, she makes garlands for the deities, and her question is, why should I do especially Japa? Why Krishna likes holy names but not doing other seva?
Oh, he likes you doing other seva. But Krishna, Lord Chaitanya has put prema into the Maha Mantra. And so the only way in Kali Yuga to get prema is through chanting Hare Krishna. And all the other services you do will help you in purifying yourself so your chanting becomes more pure. Jiva Goswami said, everything is purified when you add the holy name. Everything becomes perfect when you're chanting, because it's the Yuga Dharma. Especially, made for this age. It's like saying, the doctor says you should exercise, you should take medicine, and you should eat a certain diet. And he said, but the most important thing is the medicine. And the exercise and diet will help the effectiveness of the medicine, but the medicine is what will cure you. So the holy name is the medicine. And everything else helps that medicine work better. But we can't necessarily say why. That's just the way Lord Chaitanya made it. That's what he decided to do. Put prema into the holy name. And in the last Kali Yuga, there wasn't prema in the holy name. Yeah. It was just a worship of Vishnu gets you to Vaikuntha. Now he put prema in the holy name. So he wants you to have that prema like the gopis have. And you get that by chanting. That's where it exists. You uncover it. And right in Prabhupada's books, he said that you worship the deity, it will help you in your chanting. So it's my experience that if you do this well, everything else will come to you well. Is that okay? I think we have to go, right? I have to say goodbye to everyone. It's nice to see you. I have to tell you. Yeah.
Спасибо,
Семинар.
что участвовали.
За его встречу. Шрила Прабхупада ки
Джай.
джай, Махатма Прабху ки джай, Харинам Санкиртан Ягья ки джай, джай, Гора Премананда.
Till we meet again. Hare Krishna. Jai
Надо
Prabhupada.
опять встретиться.
Spasibo. Gauranga.